morning or afternoon, Americans. This is your favorite alien here in the afternoon of Sunday, August 27th, 2023. Sitting in for Paul Harvey this afternoon. Stand by for a commentary. Well, Americans, you're between a rock and a hard place here, and I wanted to specify what America is so that you understand it's not Republican and it's not Democrat. America is like baseball, and they're both the same. And you have to understand them before you can understand yourself. America is an ideal. Baseball is an ideal. And as I did my Paul Harvey, the rest of the story this morning on baseball, the ideal of baseball. And this is one thing where I told at the end of that thing that your Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, New York should get together with the United Kingdom and ask for a special copy of the Putty Pocket book story, kid story, from Mr. Newberry, I believe it was, 1744. They'll have to get a copy of the 10th edition because that's the only one that still survives today that they have in the library. Published in 1760. Original published, first edition, 1744. There's a poem there that references the ideal of baseball. So you see, baseball, it's the same question that Democrats and Republicans are growling at about America. There is no America. There's an ideal of America. And just like baseball, the ideal has changed over the centuries. It's never going to be 100%. Baseball's never going to be 100% of the ideal. What Abner Doubleday did in 1839 is looked at that ideal and says, okay, we got to put some rules to it. And then there was some more rules adopted in 1858, 1869, and all the way along the line up until 2023, we've had rules that's been adopted for baseball, rules changes. The designated hitter is now universal in baseball. A pitch clock is now universal in baseball. Time limits. And there is no 100% baseball diamond. Each baseball stadium has its own quirk. You go to San Francisco's, I was going to say Candlestick Park, but it's not that anymore. I think it's Oracle. Is that what it is over there? Or whatever the new stadium in San Francisco is for the Giants. Have you looked at that stadium lately? I was watching the Braves last night play there. And that new stadium has got many quirks. And the dimensions are different. It's not your standard baseball stadium that has 373 down the power alleys, 440 down the center, 378 down the power alleys, and 314 down the right field line, and 308 down the left field line. You see what I mean? Well, and you look at the Yankee Stadium, the new one. It's got the same quirks. It's still got the 314 porch still there. Tiger Stadium for the old Detroit Tigers. I mean, you could hit a home run, just hit it 260 feet, and you're going to hit the overhang in center field. Home run! Or Tropicana Field in Tampa Bay. Hit it up the rafters, and boy, you got a lot of rules that come in after that, don't you? Yeah. But remember the old fields. I mean, the old fields that were 314 down the porch line for the old Yankee Stadium, 440 down center line for the Tigers. If you didn't hit the center field overhang, well, you got to get it 440 to get a home run down center. Yeah. Nowadays, do you have 400-foot center fields anymore in play? No, you're talking about 420 feet home runs. In the old days, you had that because you had to hit a home run. If you wanted to hit it to center field, you had to go about 450 in order to make it. Yeah, remember? But hey, we didn't have that many home runs. Yeah. So we brought the walls in. That is the ideal of baseball. The reality is, well, you've seen the reality. Pitchers don't pitch anymore. Complete games. Batters, you better sit there. You don't have time to do anything. You can't adjust your crotch and adjust your all kinds of stuff. Remember, you used to see all that in the old days. And the pitchers, of course, no more Gaylord Perrys allowed. Yeah. I wonder what the mad Hungarian Alvarbowski would say about this. Well, this is baseball, America. And your ideal of America is the same as baseball. Look how baseball has changed. You've had the dead ball era, the live ball era, the steroid era. Oh, yeah. The Babe Ruth era where he went drunk and still hit home runs. He wouldn't be allowed in the Baseball Hall of Fame today. Neither would Horace Wagner or Ty Cobb. They wouldn't be included in the Hall of Fame today. No way, Jose. But in their day, they were because it was a different type of game. The ideal and the reality are two different things, Americans. The ideal of America was started, well, you can go way back to the Magna Carta in 1215 and take it from there. The Glorious Revolution of 1688, which brought, the Revolution of 1776 and the Constitution of 1788. And therefore, the Constitution of 1788 was dead on arrival. And here we are today, back then. So take a cue from baseball, which is an ideal. And like I said, the purists won't like this, but Cooperstown, New York should include that little children's book from 1744 in the Hall of Fame because it was the ideal of baseball in that poem. So you could say British were part of baseball. They had the idea. They may not have made the game the way it is American because you guys took that idea and played around it for over a century and a half, and you got baseball today the way it is, and it's still changing every year. America, you haven't done any changes in 200 years, and you definitely need that because an ideal does not work. A good example of that is Akhenaten back in the old Middle Kingdom of Egypt, ancient Egypt that is. He went from polytheism to monotheism, and he thought he could do that by himself. Doesn't work that way. It took monotheism centuries to develop. It didn't develop until some guy in Galilee comes around and therefore the rule of monotheism, and he didn't invent it. It was before Akhenaten. There was a lot of people that had monotheism, but it was a minor idea. Became major. And the subsequent generations after that made it a major one, and polytheism went the way of the dodo birds, and polytheism ruled. Now, polytheism is going the way of the dodo bird, and anarchists are coming to rule. This is the way it is until you decide to work on it, like you have. And for you Americans, you have two things, and you're working on one right. It may be wrong, but for purist's sake, but you're working on it the right way. Baseball. If you apply all the stuff that you've been doing in baseball in the last 100 years, and did it to the United States Constitution and the way the United States as an idea is formed, you wouldn't have this problem. The United States is not Republican, it's not Democrat, it's not conservative, it's not liberal, it's not ultra-left, it's not ultra-right, it's not independence, it's not centrist. It is an idea of how to govern a whole bunch of people, in which you're going to have dissent, and how to keep it down. Baseball has dissenters. If you didn't, you wouldn't have had Shoeless George Jackson would have been in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds is in the Hall of Fame. Pete Rose is in the Hall of Fame. But because of dissenters, that's the problem, Americans. You see that? Baseball's got the big problem there too. And you haven't learned how to deal with it. This is your favorite alien saying, you gotta learn, if you don't look at baseball and learn from it, you're never gonna get your America, the ideal in America, the working project, the way baseball is still a working project, better. This is your favorite alien. Good day.